Hello, puppies and kittens. Welcome to another episode of Reading Joseph Smith. We are well past the middle point of this book. We're coming down on the easier side of the hill. I think still got a little bit more of Alma left to do, but the chapters are starting to get smaller and smaller. So we'll be coming to the end of this horrible thing here pretty soon. Welcome back, Bryce. Welcome back, Shannon. We
Hi.
started to do
Oh,
Alma 56 last time. We started reading it, and then Jimmy jumped in, and he said, "You better not be reading this chapter without Bryce and Shannon."
thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So he convinced us to read the Articles of Faith.
oh,
God.
oh, fun.
Did he quote them memorized? That's my
Yeah,
question.
did he actually read them, or was he eyes closed? Was he able to recite them? That's the real
Did he
question.
sing the songs? The
I
primary
I
song.
started I started to punk the audience a little bit by reading starting reading the 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple. And Fitzgerald was here at that time, and he said, "No, wait, these sound much too reasonable."
Yep, way too reasonable. Oh my God.
So, as Jimmy pointed out, both of you would have quite a lot to say about this chapter, and he
Yes.
urged that we not read this one until we could have both of you back. So, welcome both of you back. If you don't mind, I'm going to begin reading this one because we kind of already were. I mean, you guys weren't here. I guess it would be okay to read it, but I just want to start off. So, and in the death, as the last few corpses lay rotting in the slimy thoroughfare, the shutters lifted an inch in Temperance Building, high on Poacher's Hill, and red mutant eyes. No, wait, that's Diamond Dogs, but I'm reading the lyrics of a David Bowie song. Right?
Like, I prefer that. We
I was
just-
gonna say, you got to change your voice a little bit more for that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Shannon, do you want to read this one? Do you want me?
Oh, you read. Go ahead.
All
I
right,
mean,
absolutely.
I'll read some of it later if you want me to, but you go ahead and start. We haven't heard.
Thank
I
you so
haven't
much.
heard from you in a while.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now it came to pass in the commencement of the 30th year of the reign of the judges, on the 2nd day of the 1st month, Moroni received an epistle from Helaman, stating the affairs of the people in that quarter of the land. And these are the words which he wrote, saying, "My dearly beloved brother, Moroni is Moroni as well as in the Lord as in Moroni as well in the Lord as in the what? My dearly beloved Moroni, as well in the Lord as in the tribulations of our warfare, behold, my beloved brother, I have somewhat to tell you concerning our warfare on this part of the land.
That
Behold,
was a really common invocation when you were starting a letter in ancient Reformed Egyptian by the Hebrews. My dearly beloved brother. That's just how they commonly addressed each
Yeah.
other in various native cultures in America. You know,
Right.
just
yeah, and I'm sure I have somewhat to tell you. I'm sure that was I'm sure that phrase was common too. It's common in the Book of Mormon, but I haven't seen it so much. And I would that you should, that phrase.
Always.
me thought I saw.
Okay. Behold, 2,000 of the sons of those men who Ammon brought down from the land of Nephi. Now ye have known that these were the descendants of Laman, who was the eldest son of our father Lehi.
Okay.
Now
Let's
I
stop.
need
Just
not.
a second. Wait. Stop. Just a second. There's a couple things I want to say here. We brought up, and it says it in there so many times, stripling, meaning, which what they mean in here is not Chippendale dancers because they hadn't come up with those yet. And of course, that also dates you, Aaron, because kids don't have any fucking clue what you're talking about there. But what is meant there is a teenage son to teenage boys kind of thing. And so, one thing with this, I don't know if this was intended by Joseph Smith or not, because the missionaries of today, they're always teenage boys, the 18, 19-year-olds. And the girls will go out when they're a little bit older. Now they're allowed out at 19, but it was 19 years old, and it's patterned after these stripling warriors in here. Now, the reason why I bring this up is Joseph Smith didn't send out teenage boys on missions. He sent out married men on missions, and the wives stayed home. And so I don't know who it is who decided that the stripling warrior idea is supposed to be missionaries. But if y'all remember, and I've said this several times, and I will say it several times, the Book of Mormon isn't used well for missionary work. It's used well against the members. And so this is all part of it. And so this chapter in particular will be of the things that Mormons use on each other to get you to be better Mormons. And so right here in particular, the stripling warriors, these boys being so strong and mighty and pure and all that fucking shit. So, okay, now go for it.
Let's see, what verse was I on?
4.
Now,
You're on 4.
4. Now, I need not rehearse unto you concerning the traditions of their unbelief, for thou knowest concerning all these things. Therefore, it sufficeth me.
He loves that word.
Yeah.
Joseph really loves it.
It sufficeth me that I tell you that 2,000 of these young men have taken their weapons of war, and would that I should be that. Would that I should, because we only hear this phrase in the Book of Mormon. Would that I should be their leader.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, would. Yeah.
And we have come forth to defend our country. And now, ye also know concerning of the covenant which their fathers made, that they would not take up their weapons of war against their brethren to shed blood. But in the 26th year, when they saw our afflictions and our tribulations for them, they were about to break the covenant which they had made and take up their weapons of war in our defense. But I would not suffer them that they should break this covenant which they had made, supposing that God would strengthen us insomuch that we would not suffer more because of the fulfilling the oath which they had taken.
Okay.
But
there are a lot of really fucked up Mormon cult tendencies that are built into what it's talking about right here, right? So first off, the fathers are the ones who made the covenant with God. That's the anti-Nephi Lehites. They buried their weapons of war, or rather their weapons of peace, or rather their weapons of war for peace. That's a line out of it. The bad writing. But the idea here is that these men made the covenant with God that they're going to bury their weapons, and therefore they are pacifists. They will not take up arms against God or against their enemies. But they're descendants of the Lamanites. The Lamanites are supposed to be like the most evil, the dark-skinned, the savage ones that are killing all of the white-skinned enlightened Nephites. So they're supposed to be the bad guys. But here we have Lamanites who converted to the true religion, started their skin turned white, and then they became pacifists, and they're super blessed. So it's interesting that the people who made that covenant, whenever that happened in the timeline, when that was the 25th year of the reign of the judges, and now we're in the 30th year of the reign of judges. So like 5 years later, suddenly they have these sons who didn't make the covenant, who are now battle ready in just 5 years in that time span. I find that to be quite interesting. But also, like, it teaches people to look for fucking loopholes in their covenants with God. And I know that like Judaism, a lot of what's built around in the culture of Judaism is like finding the loopholes within the Torah that allow them to function in a modern everyday society, but not break any of the Levitical commandments. Right. And this right here, it encourages that same behavior, because it's like, oh, well, the fathers made the covenant, but their sons never said that they were making the covenant, so they can go off and fight for their dads, right? So it has that. And then further on, the other psychological implication that it's saying here is that Helaman, who is leading these stripling warriors, believes in his heart of heart that because he is helping the anti-Nephi Lehites to honor their covenant, their oath with God, that he is going to be strengthened, and his stripling warriors are therefore going to have fucking superheroes powers or whatever, that they'll be able to take on 10 Lamanites per one stripling warrior. And therefore, the God will suffice, right? When you have done everything else, then God will take up the slack at everything. But for everybody who is actually in the church, when they try and apply these teachings to their life, that shit never happens. So
Right.
when God magic doesn't come to the rescue to help them find their car keys or whatever the fuck menial problem is going on in their life when compared to entire populations and civilizations at war, then they feel like they are somehow lacking, like they are the problem. So that is all to say, contributing to what you're saying, Shannon, that this entire chapter is one of the tools that is used to bludgeon members, not used for proselytization.
Well, if they had sharper tools, they would be able to do circumcisions. These people don't have sharp tools, so they bludgeon members.
That's right. That's it.
Sorry if I misunderstood what you meant to say.
Yeah, here we go.
And I just have to comment. I saw this comment. I want to read it. It says, "Would that I should chuck wood that it has a woodchuck could." All right, so I'm on verse 8 now.
9.
I think
9.
9. Am I in 9?
Yeah.
Okay. One more comment. All right, one moment. John Klein says, "Does the book happen to mention how the warriors were clad? Loincloths and leather, perhaps? Asking for a friend."
Well, according to Arnold Freiberg, yes.
Yeah. If you look at Arnold Freiberg, the artist that is most renowned in Mormon culture, he's done all of these paintings of these important Book of Mormon figures, and they are all stacked and beautiful and cut jawlines. And you see the picture of the Helaman and his stripling warriors.
Packs.
It is gush territory. Oh, they are beautiful men.
They came out of a muscle magazine. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So look up.
All right.
Just look up 2,000 stripling warriors. You'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
Verse 9. Not safe for work. Verse 9. "But behold, here is one thing in which ye may have great joy. For behold," I just said behold, but I'm going to say behold again. And it's a letter. You don't get to behold. I'm just, "Behold, in the 26th year, I, hell of a man, did march at the head of these 2,000 young men into the city of Judea to assist Antipus. I mean, to assist Antipus, whom ye had appointed as leader over the people of that part of the land. And I did join my 2,000 sons, for they are worthy to be called sons, to the army of Antipus." And they felt a little emasculated. "In which strength Antipus did rejoice exceedingly. Yay! For behold, his army had been reduced by the Lamanites, because of their forces had slain a vast number of our men, for which cause we have to mourn."
I just have to say, the original text there says, "because of the numerority of their forces." Numerority.
It's not even a word.
Human editors. This is the infallible, indebitable word of God. You shall not change it, right?
Nope, not at all.
God meant to say numerority.
I want to point out there too, "for they are worthy to be called sons," in parentheses there. That is fucking cult mind control there. These are the obedient ones, therefore they are my sons.
They
if
are
you
worthy
act like them,
to be my
they
sons.
are worthy to be my sons.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you do anything that is dissimilar to what these stripling warriors are doing, anything except total fealty to your religious warlord prophet, then you are not worthy to be a son.
Yeah.
"You have come to me, my son. For who now is your father if it is not me?
Oh,
I
your
just want to see if
father.
anybody in the I just want to know if anybody in the comments knows where that quote came from.
No idea.
All right. So, and I did join my 2000 sons, blah, blah, blah. The numerority.
Of their forces.
Nevertheless, we may console ourselves on this point that they have died in the cause of their country and of their God. Yeah. And they are happy.
Of course.
Fucking
This is huge. This is a big deal in with Mormons. And so when they teach lessons on this, everything else, this is what gets focused on because they were doing the right thing. They died for their God, so they are happy. You shouldn't be mourning them because they are happy. Yeah.
Don't you want to be happy just like Helaman stripling warriors, modern day Mormons?
Yeah.
Fighting for your religion and your God to the death? It's
Which,
this is
of
Mormon
course,
Valhalla.
well, that's the other people who died. You remember? I mean, spoiler: none of the 2000 died, but they're brought in to replace all the ones who did, because the Lamanites who've been training since birth how to fight because they have to deal with the fucking Nephites. They killed a bunch of Nephites in this. So, but they're all of the Nephites who died happy because they knew it was for their God. It wasn't for some stupid cause like, we don't like you because you're black, or you're brown, or you're the wrong color. So yeah.
Mormon sleeper cells. Mormon sleeper cells. There are
Yeah.
millions. They walk among us. All right.
You need your
And the
sunglasses so you know who they are. Okay, sorry. Name the movie. All right. Go.
Oh, what it was Rowdy Roddy Piper. Is it They Live?
Yes.
Yes. I came here to chew
all
bubble
out
gum
of
and kick
bubble gum.
ass.
And I'm all out of bubble gum. Yes.
I know that.
And the Lamanites had also retained many prisoners, all of whom are called our chief captains, for none other have they spared alive. And we suppose that they are now at this time in the land of Nephi. It is so if they are not slain. And now these are the cities of which the Lamanites have obtained possession by the shedding of blood of so many of our valiant men. In the land of Manti, in the city of Manti, in the city of Zezrom, and the city of Cumeni.
Cumeni.
Okay.
Every I word is a hard I. Cumeni.
Yeah, it's Manti, Cumeni. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
There's a Manti
And
in
the
Utah.
city of Antipara.
Of course, because he couldn't figure out another name. Yeah. So he puts an anti in front of it to give it a name. Yeah.
And these are the cities which they possessed when I arrived at the city of Judea, and I found Antipas and his men toiling with their might to fortify the city. Toiling with their might.
So sweaty.
That's what the 2000 stripling warriors are for.
Just like the Mormon battalion, building roads and
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were depressed in body as well as spirit, for they had fought valiantly by day and toiled by night to maintain their cities, and thus they had suffered great afflictions of every kind. And now they were determined to conquer in this place or die. Therefore, ye may well suppose that this little force which I brought with me, yea, those sons of mine, gave them great hopes and much joy.
Now, a lot of this gets patterned, really, used with missions, because mission presidents will treat the missionaries under them as their sons, kind of thing. And so this all, I want to know who it is who thought of the missionary program as it is now, who started it. That's one thing. Do you know, Bryce, which prophet of the church started it?
It's never like it started. It just has like Joseph established the first missionaries in 1830, and it has had a gradual evolution that has been responding to various market forces. So like various changes have been implemented by different prophets at various times, but there isn't to say that it started as it currently is under any single individual.
Okay. Because I had a teacher in Young Women when I was about 13 whose husband had been sent on a mission while they were married. And so,
Interesting.
because she was telling us stories about Satan coming to influence her and all this shit, because he was out on a mission. And yeah, it was something the glass on the door broke and all this. I don't know. I don't remember all of it,
What a
but at
coincidence.
any
When I
rate,
was 13, I also had a teacher who was in Young Women until he got fired.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And continue. But no, so but at that point too, young men were going out on missions. So I mean, I think my brother was out on one at that point in time, my oldest brother, and so I suspect it was like the mid 1900s is when it really evolved over. But they were still calling married men to go, but it wasn't as common.
And I
So
wonder if that was like a special circumstance that led her husband to being called out. It
that
might have
could
been
have
a
been.
situation like they were converts and he wanted to fulfill a mission, but it wouldn't,
No,
or
she was
something to that.
they were born and raised in it.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, so there are all sorts of special circumstances that can lead older people to
Yeah,
go out on missions, or people, when I say older people who are older than 20 years old to go out on
right.
missions,
And
and not
unmarried.
senior missions. But
Yeah,
yeah, so I think those are few and far between. Those are exceptions
at this
as of
point. Yeah,
this century,
well,
anyway.
at
Yeah,
that point, I should say. Cuz really the missionary program is the 2000 Stripling Warriors,
yeah,
because missionaries see this as a battle, going out and finding members and all that garbage. And
exactly.
so that, yeah. And this is very much what members use. Yeah. And they will tell the kids going out, they'll say, as long as you're faithful and do everything you're told and obey your mothers and blah, 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 then you're going to be safe. You'll be fine. You'll come home victorious.
Yep.
But if you do something wrong or think wrong or behave wrong or believe wrong, you're going to fail, you're going to get hurt, you're going to be injured, So guys, missionaries going to a dangerous area will be told that. And so I know
Yep.
one young man that was in Ecuador. He got held up, mugged every week by somebody with a gun. They carried an extra wallet around with them to give to muggers because that would happen. And it was just a common thing. But they believed that
But he
as long as
survived,
they were
Shan.
good, because he did everything he was supposed to
Exactly.
do.
Confirmation
Yeah.
bias. There you go.
Yeah. So
Coincidentally, I was supposed to go to Sao Paulo, Brazil. There was supposed to be a humanist congress. It was the only time that the American Human, or what is it, this international humanist group, had ever invited me to speak, but they'd invited me to come to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I was excited to go. I hadn't been to South America. It would nice to be able to say that I'd been on all the continents except Australia. And so I was keen to go to this. This is unfortunate. It was one of the ones that got canceled. It was a bunch of them got canceled all in 1 year, just before COVID. But one of the things I was warned about was that I needed to carry a separate phone as well as a separate wallet.
Huh. And that's why.
That I had to have a bogus wallet and bogus phone because you're gonna get robbed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was told anyway. I don't know if there's any truth to that. Anyway,
Wow.
to continue reading.
Yeah.
And now it came to pass. I think that's the first one.
Second.
This chapter. Second one in this chapter.
Second one.
Okay. That when the Lamanites saw that Antipus had received a greater strength to his army, they were compelled by the orders of a moron. Compelled by the orders of a moron to not come against the city of Judea or against us to battle. And thus we were favored of the Lord. For had they come upon us in this our weakness, they might have perhaps destroyed our little army. But thus we were preserved.
There's God working in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Hey, Lamanites, those stripling warriors, they got reinforcements. Run away. There's God. Still small voice for you.
Right.
I gotta mention, you two have brought up so many points that I as an outsider, I mean, if I was told all the time that I should just, when I was growing up, that I should just read the Book of Mormon, as if it would make any fucking sense to me, as if I would have any idea.
Yeah.
So I very much appreciate you guys' expertise and commentary in this.
Not a problem. It's
They
what's
were able to
the
do
one
that.
thing to remember too is missionaries don't tell people, not the investigators, the people they're teaching, they don't tell them to read the Book of Mormon. They tell them to read Moroni 10:4, which is clear at the end, to read that, which tells them to pray about it. That all of these things are true, and if you pray and ask if it is true, God will tell you that it's true. And they tell you to do that. They don't tell you to read everything else. And so every book you see in hospitals and in hotels and all that shit,
Uh-oh.
they
My
all
apologies. I have no clue
will
what happened there. That
It's God interrupting Shannon because Shannon's breaking the walls. All right.
I wasn't even touching
I'm
anything.
breaking the rules. I'm just waiting for the stake president here to that's in charge of me to finally call me in and disciplinary action because of me doing this. God. Anyway, so this, they're not going to tell you non-members to read this because they don't want you reading it because it doesn't make sense. And then it comes up with all of this shitty stuff. So yeah. Anyway, onwards.
Okay, so they were commanded by a moron to maintain those cities which they had taken, and thus ended the 26th year. And in the commencement of the 27th year, we had prepared our city and ourselves for defense. Now, have you noticed all these people do is kill each other?
Yep.
There's never been a mention of any other difficulty or any other challenge that anybody that goes and settles a land, they're going to talk about the land. They're going to talk about special challenges to the land, all this kind of stuff. They're going to bring up something.
The weather.
Yeah, the flood of 69, the tornado of 78. Whatever, we're going to hear something like that, right? But no, this is just thousands and thousands of these people from an original 14 or whatever. They just procreate like sons of bitches and then kill each other and then procreate like bacteria to keep killing each other at that rate.
It's a paper thin story, right? We don't hear anything about the commerce. We hear about things that they had, but never about any commerce, never about any like communication routes. We hear none of the logistics that you would expect from a book that is telling about a historical peoples. There's nothing. There's no legitimate biographical information in this book.
There's no there's no discovery of a source of copper, silver, gold, whatever. Yeah, what happened to all their steel?
There's no tracing the proliferation of new technologies, right? Like Nephi bringing a bow or making a steel bow and bringing it to the Americas. There's no like watching the proliferation of that technology, or the people who start using swords and scimitars, apparently as it's spelled in this book. There's no tracking the propagation of that. Like we see time and time again, the Nephites go to battle armor clad against the Lamanites in loincloths, and then the Lamanites keep getting cut down over and over and over. It's just fiction. Yeah. It's just fiction. That's the takeaway I make.
Yeah, not very well thought out, not obviously, clearly not historical.
Nope.
All right. So and then okay, now we were desirous that the Lamanites should come upon us.
We want to fight. We want to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
God. We got a bunch of kids here. We're ready to fight.
Which is fucking insane, because just a second ago he talked about how fatigued they were and how if the Lamanites would have come upon them in their depressed state, the Lamanites would have killed all of them. And he's like, yeah, but we wanted to fight.
Right.
Let me just read that again. No, we were desirous that the Lamanites should come upon us. Sorry. For we were not desirous to make an attack upon them in their strongholds. And it came to pass that we kept spies out round about. Out round about.
Out round about.
Would that I could be out round about.
There we go.
To watch the movements of the Lamanites, that they might not pass us by night, nor by day to make an attack upon our other cities, which were on the northward. There's got to be a strange accent applied to on the northward. Who says shit like that?
Joseph
Whoever said shit like that?
Smith. Joseph Smith.
No one. Only Joseph.
For we knew in those cities they were not sufficiently strong to meet them. Therefore, we were desirous, if they should pass by us, to fall upon them in their rear.
Oh God.
Tripped and fell. Sorry.
They dropped the soap.
And thus,
They were just so sweaty from building all of those battle fortifications and fighting so much. It was bound to happen.
That's
so if they
right.
should pass by us, to fall upon them in their rear, and thus bring them up in the rear at the same time they were met in the front.
Oh, a train. Yeah, no, we have
Is he
technical terms for
describing a
this.
reach around? What?
Maybe.
We supposed that we could overpower them, but behold, we were disappointed in this our desire.
As
They
always.
durst not pass by us
Fred
with
durst.
their whole army, neither durst they with a
Fred durst.
part, lest they not be sufficiently strong and they should fall. Neither durst they march down against
Fred
the
durst.
city of Zarahemla, neither durst they
Zarahemla.
cross the head of
Fred
Sidon
durst.
over to the city of
I'm trying, Tomer. I'm trying.
Nephi.
Nephi-ha. Nephi-ha. Because he can't come up with
Nephi-ha.
another name, so he's got to play with Nephi again. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Fucking
Why do people
toddler.
in my family read this shit? I'm like, oh, that's the word of God there.
Yeah.
And thus, with their forces, they were determined to maintain those cities which they had taken. And now it came to pass. In the second month of this year, there was brought unto us many provisions from the fathers of those my 2,000 sons. The
Fascinating.
The
Holy
fathers
shit.
of my 2,000 sons.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
So
so it's poorly
now-
written. Yeah. But no. So that's referring to the anti-Nephi Lehites. So they're pacifists, but their pacifism apparently stops short of supplying an army with provisions.
Right.
That's not true pacifism. That's not how that fucking works. That's called war profiteering.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is lauded as a wonderful thing in
Yep.
Mormonism.
That's
Yeah.
the only thing that they could do to support the fighting force being
So
pacifists.
they'll
Yeah.
go and feed the army.
Yep. Yet another loophole. Just look for the
Yep.
loopholes in your covenants with God and you're going to be
Mhm.
just fine. God is like, oh, well, you're technically right. And technically is the best kind of right.
Yeah, of course.
And also there were sent 2,000 men unto us from the land of Zarahemla. And thus we were prepared with 10,000 men and provisions for them, and also for their wives and their children.
We had
Chris-
2,000 men. Then we got 2,000 men more from
No.
Zarahemla. 10,000 strong.
Well, it's 2,000 boys
Okay.
with all these men.
Oh, my mistake.
Your mistake.
And
And-
the Lamanites,
Oh my God.
the Lamanites, thus seeing our forces increase daily and provisions arrive for our support, they began to be fearful and began to sally forth, if it were possible,
Sally
to put an end to our receiving provisions and strength.
Of course, with
Now-
Sally Forth, when you think of that, that's a little bit like the way Native Americans would harass, fight. And I think that's what he's meaning there.
Hmm.
Just
And
those
the Lamanites-
little bits here and there. Yeah.
Gorilla.
Okay. Let's see. And then 30. Now, when we saw that the Lamanites began to grow uneasy on this wise, we were desirous to bring a stratagem into effect upon them. Therefore, Antipus ordered that I should march forth with my little sons to a neighboring city, as if we were carrying provisions to a neighboring city. Because we
Yeah.
had to say neighboring city a second time.
Right. And remember, they're the anti-Nephi Lehi's, so they're former Lamanites. So he is leading 2,000 young men who look like Lamanites. So they're all brown. That's the thing to remember there.
Yeah. Little subterfuge.
Am I missing where this is spelled out? Where the colors of the people were explained? Did I miss that?
No, that's implied from all the way back in First and Second Nephi when it
Yeah.
talked about the skin, when it talked about them being remind me of all things. Shannon, their skin is like unto a flint, so that they wouldn't be
Yes.
desirous. That
God
is
cursed them.
the
Yeah.
universe that the book established in the very
Right.
beginning, that the dark skinned are the evil, the light skinned are the righteous.
And they divided it between Nephites and Lamanites instead of, Nephites and Zoramites and Jacobites and blah, 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 all the other ites. They just are like, these are the good ones, the Nephites. These are the bad ones, the Lamanites. Nephites are white and lightsome. Lamanites are dark and loathsome.
Yes.
Ammonites, Trilobites, Chiggerbites.
Yeah.
Exactly.
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 Yeah.
Chiggerbites are definitely evil. Yeah,
Agree. Hard agree.
for sure.
All right. So, and we were to march to the city of Antipara, as if we were going to the city beyond, on the borders by the seashore. And it came to pass
Woohoo.
that we did march forth, as if with our provisions, to go to that city. And it came to pass that Antipas did march forth with a part of his army, leaving the remainder to maintain the city. But he did not march forth until I had gone forth with my little army and came near the city of Antipara. And now, in the city of Antipara, were stationed the strongest army of the Lamanites, yea, the most numerous. And it came to pass. This is written so fucking badly.
The suspense is killing me, Aaron.
There's no story bits. I mean, there's like all
No.
these. There's all these elements of all this a little bit of inflections of reality that would be nuance in here somewhere. They're just all of that is missing. Every thing that would have been if this were a historical event.
Yeah.
There's so much. You know how much depth there is in like any account. I mean, everything that we have in American history from prior to Joseph Smith, everything about our history. There's all this nuance and detail, and every little peculiarity of the differences between Pennsylvania and New Jersey, whatever. I mean, all of these things, the wildlife, the rivers, and all everything would be. This is just devoid of all that. It's so one-dimensional.
Yes.
And he could have talked to anybody who had fought in actual wars. He could have found out how an actual war happens. But even I know that this is shit. And I don't study that much of this. Yeah.
Arn,
And
I
it
really,
came to pass.
Arn, I really don't see why
Yes.
you're complaining, because every single time you talk with someone about the Bible, you will tell them this didn't happen, that didn't happen, this didn't happen. At least this book will tell you what did and did not came to pass. Just saying.
Now I'm going to have to read it. It came to pass again. I just hope that Peter has recorded the one from verse 35 and not duplicated.
I've already ticked that one off.
And it came to pass that when they had been informed by their spies, they came forth with their army and marched against us. And it came to pass that we did flee before them. Run away, run away. And thus we did lead away the most powerful army of the Lamanites. We led them away.
It was those
Led them.
young men.
We are leaders. So, yea, even to a considerable distance, insomuch that when they saw the army of Antipas pursuing them with their might, they did not turn to the right nor to the left, but pursued their march in a straight course after us. And as we suppose, it was their
They chased
intent
us.
to It was their intent to slay us before Antipus should overtake them, and this that they might not be surrounded by our people. And now, Antipus. It's so hard to read these names seriously.
Any of it. It's not just the names. It's all of it. It's like we looked behind us as we were running away from the army, and by golly, by gum, they just kept running straight at us.
They were
Yeah,
following
they're
us.
chasing you, bro. Oh,
Can't
they didn't
believe
turn
it.
left or right. They're still coming right at us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
how
this was
chasing
written.
works.
This was written before Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking that J.R.R. Tolkien's writing these things, and they said no, you can't use Zarahemla, and you can't use Antipus because those are already taken. You're going to have to say Gondor and Saruman. Okay, those sound cooler anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Yep.
And now Antipus, beholding our danger, did speed the march of his army. But behold, it was night. Therefore, they did not overtake us. Neither did Antipus overtake them. Therefore, we did camp for the night. Wait, what? What? I was a LARPer for a long time, and we would do battle games into the night. But I'm seeing these. Oh well, sundown. Everybody take a break. Okay.
Yep.
And it's so funny because like you're saying earlier, Armin, this is just so one-dimensional, right? And when we're talking about actual battles, when we're talking about actual armies fighting with other actual armies, we have so many logistical things to consider. We have entire supply lines, and we have territories leading up to the advancing territory that all needs to be conquered in a chain, so that therefore you have safe supply lines and provisions. They're like the minutia of like digging in trenches. Like some of those things are present. The Anti-Nephilites provided provisions for the 10,000 here, and like we heard about them digging fortifications, but we don't see any of the larger connective strategies that are necessary when entire populations are at war with each other. But yet, the book spends an entire verse to say they chased us into the night and then we all got tired and took a nap. It takes an entire verse to tell us that tiny, minute, fucking useless detail. But yet it is completely silent on all of the other things, like how they had to navigate their battle tactics based on the fucking geography of the area. We've had basically one time where it's like, we're going to camp on one side of the river and then in the forest, and we're going to jump out and scare them into the river and then kill them on there in the river. That is the only time that geography has been mentioned as part of battle tactics in this entire book. And we're what 60 chapters worth into the war chapters here. It's just so fictional. It's so elementary is my point, I guess.
And there's already wars that happened before Joseph Smith's time that would have given a different indication. Let me excite one. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. You fucking pussies. It got dark and you couldn't fight anymore. We can still fight. Y'all better fight because we're still fighting.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just
amazing. It is absolutely obvious he has never been involved in war and didn't bother to research. Yeah.
Had no idea how it worked.
It came to pass. Before the dawn of the morning, behold, the Lamanites were pursuing us. The sun hasn't come up yet. You're not fair.
I want to sleep in, you dicks.
At Dark 100, the Lamanites started pursuing. Yeah, that's what happens.
Now, we were not sufficiently strong to contend with them. Yeah, I would not suffer that my little sons should fall into their hands. Therefore, we did continue our march, our high-speed march the other way. We're leaders.
Bravely
and we took our march into the wilderness. Is it really a march?
No.
You're marching away because the other people are marching after you. Are they marching?
Of course, I'm envisioning somebody with a drum giving
Yeah.
him the cadence for the march.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got to play the drum faster because those other guys, they're doing a drum roll. Okay.
And that's
Number
another thing.
17, keep rowing. Yeah.
They looked behind them and they could see visually the Lamanites still chasing them. That means that the armies were separated by what? Maybe 2,000 meters at most, and they can't catch up to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And they're doing this through the wilderness. And I'm not sure exactly what the wilderness means, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
it's not open fields.
He doesn't define wilderness in this. He never does.
It's not like there's anything else, is there?
Because there's like wilderness in the beginning of the Book of Mormon was desert area. Wilderness here, what is it? Where are they located? Is it forests? Is it desert? Is it swamps? What is it? We don't know. Yeah.
Now, they durst not turn
Durst.
to the right nor to the left, lest they should be surrounded.
I
Neither
thought the
would I turn.
Lamanites weren't going to the left or the right, so it really wouldn't have mattered. If they go, they could just keep following.
And they turn every direction we turn. What do we do? Yeah, they're
Yeah.
chasing you, bro.
I mean,
I
hell,
wish a
you look in
motherfucker durst.
right. It's like in Star Wars and like Return of the Jedi when they're all fighting in space. They're all in a line. They're not like all over. They're in a line. Oh
Mhm.
God. Anyway.
Always ride single file to hide their
Yeah.
numbers.
Yes. In space.
Neither would
Go
I
as-
turn. Neither would I turn to the right nor to the left, lest they should overtake me, and we could not stand against them, but be slain, and they would make their escape. We would be slain. Let me read that again. They're not going to turn from the right to the left. They're coming straight at me. I can't go to the right
Yep.
or the left because they're going to overtake me. We could not stand against them, but be slain, and they could make their escape.
So what's going on here is Helaman is it Helaman or Antipus? So there's three armies here, right? So we have the stripling warriors, the young sons with Helaman, then we have the Lamanite army chasing them, and then we have, I think it's Antipus's larger army of 10,000 chasing the chasing. So we have
Yes.
three separate armies who are chasing each other in a line right now.
Yeah.
So they have the Lamanites surrounded if they would just like, stop and like turn around. But
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, they stop, turn around. Everybody can see each other, so they're like less than a mile away from each other. So
It's just the
slow
way
down.
they spin this. We're
Yeah.
marching. We're marching away from them. They're marching at us. They're marching at us quickly. We're going to march away faster because we're leading them.
We are marching
And we better lead them faster because they're catching up. And if they catch us, they're going to kill us all, and then they will escape. Escape what?
Yeah.
Escape
Exactly.
Antipus's army, right? Antipus is trying to like rally around and surround the Lamanites, right? So like I said, it's a good guy army, then Lamanite bad guy army, and then the big army of Antipus
that's the part that I'm
chasing the
missing.
Lamanites. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a third
yeah.
army here that I wasn't envisioning. All right. That
Right.
makes a
Yeah.
lot more
I mean,
sense.
the young men that are running away from Antipus, they're just bait. That's all. They're just
Gotcha.
bait until it gets to a point where the other guys, the 10,000 adult fighters that all are white and delightsome, show up and they
Exactly.
can beat the Lamanites. Yeah.
Now, let's hear a few hundred meet our tens of thousands.
Yeah. That all grew up super duper fast because we keep losing 1,000 here and 1,000 there and 10,000 here and 10,000 there. So these are guys that are probably like 6 months old, but they grew to adulthood that fast. Yeah.
These are Orokai. Their armor
Yes.
is thick.
Yeah, that's
Their
right.
shields are
It.
broad.
And really, I mean, it's fun to see one of these early archetypes of like, oh, the black soldiers are the expendable soldiers.
Yeah.
Nice to know that that's consistent, at least in Joseph's time.
At this
Yeah.
point right now, yes, but
Yeah.
it changes.
It does.
And thus
Yes.
we did flee all that day into the wilderness, even until it was dark.
Again.
And then we took a nap.
It came to pass that again, when the light of morning came, we saw the Lamanites upon us, and we did flee before them.
Where is that Antipus guy? He was supposed to be here to save our asses.
But it came to pass that they did not pursue us far before they halted. And it was in the morning of the 3rd day of the 7th month.
It took 7 months to do this. Okay.
They chase each other until the sun goes down. Then everybody stops. Both groups stop.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
All
make
three.
camp.
All three groups stop.
Pitch tents, build fires, barbecue. And then just before sunrise, everybody jumps up and gets back into running.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
Because you have a massive superior army that has to stop and let the quarry rest.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, like, a band of 2,000 soldiers is going to be able to move a whole fuck of a lot faster than a band of 10,000 soldiers is going to be able to move. So, like, how are the Lamanites keeping up with the stripling warriors?
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at this, like, logically, the way that, like, armies move and everything. I need to stop doing that. There's a thing in storytelling we call suspension of disbelief. I'm not doing that very well.
It's really super hard to have a willing suspension of disbelief. Yes.
And now, whether they were overtaken by Antipus, we knew not. But I said unto my men, Behold, we know not. But they have halted for the purpose that we should come against them, that they might catch us in their snare.
It's very important to repeat ourselves, you know. Yeah.
Therefore, what say ye, my sons? Will we go against them in the battle?
All right.
Because,
They
you know, we
stopped
always
chasing us.
ask the soldiers that. Yeah.
This right
They
here,
stopped
this
chasing us. That means they're weak now. They got tired by chasing us for 3 months.
Right.
and then he even says, "Hey, y'all think this is a trap? What do you think? Why don't we march into that trap? Let's see what's the worst that could happen. We're 2,000 strong."
Yeah.
But I do want to point out, right? So we are about to enter into what's like a lesson territory, which is to say that like the next verses right here are oftentimes quoted in actual lessons in the church, in Sunday school and relief society and elders, whatever, because like there is a singular standalone message to extract out of the next like 10 to 12 verses that is important, that Mormons try and apply to themselves and in their missionary work and in all sorts of other ways. Mormon sleeper cells, right? I keep sounding that trumpet because it is super important to keep in mind. That's what we're about to get into here.
Yeah. This verse in particular, verse 45. Yeah.
Okay. Continuing on. And now I say unto you, my beloved brother Moroni, that never had I seen so great courage, nay, not amongst all the Nephites. For as I had ever called them my sons, for they were all of them very young, even so they said to me,
Father, behold, our God is with us, and he will not suffer that we should fall. So let us go forth, and we would not slay our brethren if they would let us alone. Therefore let us go, lest they should overpower the army of Antipus.
Yep, that's it exactly. And notice, we would not slay our brethren. They're talking about probable relatives of theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are Lamanites fighting Lamanites.
Yep.
Now, they never had fought, yet they did not fear death.
I'm sorry. Didn't he just talk a whole bunch a minute ago how these stripling warriors were fighting? They were fighting by day and building fortifications by night?
No,
but then they never fought?
No, they never. No, it was never the stripling warriors. It was the other 10,000.
Okay.
They were the ones that were doing all of that before. This is the first battle for the stripling warriors.
These are the ones who never fought because they were running away.
Yes.
Right. I just got mixed up in the whole,
yes,
pronoun
because the writing is
here.
so awful. Yeah. God.
And they did think more upon the liberty of their fathers than they did upon their lives. Yeah.
Christian nationalism.
Yeah,
They had been
100%.
taught by their mothers that if they did
There
not
it is.
doubt, God would deliver them.
Okay,
Okay.
here. This is huge, 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 fucking huge in Mormonism. Lessons get done on this all the times. They had been taught by their mothers, and they do lessons saying this is to show the big role that mothers play in the church and women play in the church because one, they're supposed to be mothers, period. Plain and simple. Anything else, if the girl goes to age 30 and isn't married yet, it's the fault of the guys because they're stupid. But that's the attitude in the Mormon church. It's not because she chose not to, it's because guys are stupid. And so you're supposed to be a mother and you're supposed to raise your kids to be like this. You're supposed to raise them to be these warriors who believe in God and believe in all of this stuff. And it's because of their mothers that they do this right. So mothers are given only that role and no other. The misogyny in this church is horrific because they don't see women as valuable if they are not mothers, married mothers, I should say.
And they rehearsed unto me the words.
And I just want to hone in on. I'm sorry, Aaron. I want to hone in on that too. Like, think of the female representation we've seen in this book up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Soraya, who was a total non-issue,
Yes.
who just totally forgotten about. We have the daughters of Ishmael, who just served to be broodmares for the Nephites and Lamanites. The wives of the sons of Lehi.
Same with the daughters of Lehi. Yeah.
Yep. And we've had representation of two harlots, basically, right?
Is it two?
We had the previously named harlot, and then we had the queen, who was like maybe she wasn't a harlot, but she was the queen, the named queen, who was the
King Lamoni's wife.
Yeah,
and the handmaid to them.
Yes, and the handmaid
who went
to
and
them.
got help.
Yeah.
She's named is Queen Lamoni's wife. I don't think she's given a name, is she?
Maybe it is the handmaid I'm remembering.
The handmaid is the only one that's given the name there.
Okay.
There's only like 3 names, 3 of them that are named.
Maybe this is even more representative.
Abish.
The fact that I am not able to recall the women who are in here is because I was never taught about them as a kid.
Right.
But now
Isabel
we have
and
mothers coming up.
Yeah. Isabel was the harlot. Abish was the handmaid. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank
I
you.
think it's
Thank you,
funny
chat.
that much like the Bible, I mean, people are only named when you have to sort out between the guy's wives and concubines, or
if they're a harlot,
or if they're a harlot. Because harlots, for some reason,
name the harlots. Yeah.
The scriptural authors always know the hooker's name, don't they?
They always do. Every single time.
Yeah. But I just want to echo your point, Shannon, that if you are a woman reading this book as a member of the church and looking for how you are supposed to act, how you are represented, how the church how God wants you to be, these are the examples that you are given from the scriptures.
Yeah.
And here you go. If you don't raise kids, and more importantly, if you don't raise kids to be faithful, covenant-keeping Mormons, you are fucking worthless to this church.
You are worthless. Yep. And you're not worth that much as it was. So your worth is to produce more good Mormon boys. And yes, I know misogyny in Mormonism isn't unique to Mormonism. No, every single church on the face of this fucking planet has a difference between how men and women are treated. Some of them, it's like this. Others, it's a canyon. It just depends. But the church I have the absolute most experience with is this one. Yeah. And the trauma I go through, just even with this fucking book, every time we open it to read it, it's reopening the trauma I went through in this church as a woman, trying to do what I was required to do. And so, yes, I will get super angry about the misogyny here. And yes, I am fully aware it's in every other church, but this is the one I have the experience with.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that to back what you said, I wish I could remember the exact quote, but I remember that Martin Luther said something very similar.
Yes.
That women's only purpose is to produce as many babies as they possibly can before they die.
Yes.
Okay, so, and they rehearsed unto me the words of their mothers, saying,
We do not doubt our mothers knew it.
and
doubt is the enemy here as well too.
Doubt is absolutely the enemy.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Aaron, but yes, this is one common phrase that is used in the church is to doubt your doubts, and it was ensconced by the apostle Dieter F. Uchtdorf, who is the progressive, the one single progressive apostle that the younger generation likes. He gave a talk. He said, "Doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith." And that is one of the strongest bludgeons and thought-killing rhetorical tools that is used by the church to stop people from thinking critically and doubting anything. And here it is also, hey, if you have kids who doubt, that's your fault, moms. Oh, and also you kids, you better be honest and good to your moms because they taught you properly. So if you're doubting the church, if you're doubting the gospel, you're also doubting your mom. So this shit right here, this doctrine cuts everybody. Nobody is unscathed by this bullshit.
Yeah.
okay, next verse 49. And it came to pass. What?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Aaron's the
Bruno
one trying to
Zygarts.
keep us on track here.
Aaron is
I think
never
we're
the one.
deviating.
Aaron's
Arn
like, Shannon, stop pontificating.
is morphing into Tomer.
Yeah.
Bruno Zygarts offers $5 Canadian and says, if there's an Antipus, is there an Uncle Puss? And Bruno Zygarts comments again, another $5 Canadian, says, and it came to pass that the Lamanite leader proclaimed, they have us surrounded, the poor bastards. Everybody pull your neighbor's finger. Okay, reading, what was it? 49.
49.
And it came to pass that I did return with my 2,000 against these Lamanites who had pursued us. And now, behold, the armies of Antipus had overtaken them, and a terrible battle had commenced. The army of Antipus, being weary because of their long march in so short a space of time, were about to fall into the hands of the Lamanites. And I had not returned with my 2,000, that they would have attained their. And had I not returned with my 2,000, they would have obtained that purpose, because the Antipus army of 10,000 strong really needed my 2,000 little fucking boys. For Antipus had fallen by the sword, and many of his leaders, because of their weariness, which was occasioned by the speed of their march, which doesn't fucking matter because everybody stopped. Every
night.
Every night.
As soon as it got dark.
A bunch of fucking wussies.
They don't want to step in a gopher hole.
Which was occasioned by the speed of their march. Therefore, the men of Antipus, being confused because of the fall of their leaders, began to give way before the Lamanites. And it came to pass, because how many times can something come to pass in one fucking chapter? That the Lamanites took courage, men, and began to pursue them. And thus were the Lamanites pursuing them with great vigor, when Helaman came upon their rear. I've been chasing these little boys, and now I have come upon their rear.
Oh, God.
He was chasing the bigger boys with his little boys.
Yeah.
Just, technical details. Just want to be accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. With his 2,000, and began to slay them exceedingly. You slay them exceedingly. Insomuch
He loves that
that
word.
the whole army of the Lamanites halted and turned upon Helaman. Now, this is Lamanites fighting Lamanites, Lamanites chasing Lamanites.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the army of the Lamanites, which army of the Lamanites? Aren't there three of them?
Something. Who knows? It's the no more Lamanites to the real Lamanites, but they all look like Lamanites. But yet the no more Lamanites are dressed like Nephites, so they don't look like Lamanites, because Lamanites like to go naked into battle. Did you get it?
No.
So we got dark-skinned Lamanites, bad guys. We got ironclad Lamanites, good guys, and when we have Antipus's Nephites, good guys.
Yes, who are white. So they're easy to tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Now, when the people of Antipus saw that the Lamanites had turned them about, they gathered together their men and came again upon the rear of the Lamanites. So another group of
Basically,
people
all the
coming on the rear of
Lamanites
the
are in a
Lamanites.
circle facing themselves. Basically, that's what Joseph Smith is saying here. They're just in a circle so that the two Nephite armies can come at them from the rear. Yeah.
Okay, you don't all have to come at him from the rear.
But he really likes that.
He sure writes about it a lot.
All the time. This is not going to be the last. Oh, God.
And now, you're never going to believe what it says here. It came to pass that we, the people of Nephi, the people of Antipus, and I, with my 2,000, did surround the Lamanites and did slay them. Yeah, insomuch
Yay.
that they were, because I love that word, insomuch, which only exists in this book,
Yes.
that they were compelled to deliver up their weapons of war and also themselves as prisoners of war. And now, oh my gosh, this phrase again, it came to pass that when they had surrendered themselves up unto us, behold, I numbered those young men who had fought with me, fearing lest there were many of them slain. But behold, to my great joy, there had not one soul of them fallen to the earth. Yeah, they had fought as if with the
Yay.
strength of God. Yeah.
Yay.
Never were men known to have fought with such miraculous strength and with such mighty power that they fall upon the Lamanites, that they did frighten them. And for this
Right.
cause the Lamanites deliver themselves up as prisoners of war. And as we had no place for our prisoners that we could guard them to keep them from the armies of the Lamanites, therefore we sent them to the land of Zarahemla, and a part of those men who were not slain of Antipus with them. And the remainder I took and joined them to my stripling Ammonites.
First time he
And
calls
took
them that.
Yep.
And took our march back to the city of Judea.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Not one soul of them fallen to the earth. Because why? They believed what their mother said. They fought with the strength of God. They were like David against Goliath and Ammon and all this stuff, Samson. And well, they don't really want to talk Samson because Delilah, but all of those things because they followed the word of God. So therefore they all lived.
So Peter,
And this is so legendary within Mormon culture. There are cartoons about this when this is taught to kids. This is a very common story that is taught many times every year in the lesson manuals. This is one of these, just like the story of Nephi killing Laban and stealing the brass plates. This is one of those that this is a common fixture in every Mormon chapel all across the globe, and it is taught constantly. So it has this occupies its own kind of mythological status within the subculture of the Mormon mythos. And it's important that it is surrounding the idea of militarism, religious militarism. What we're describing here is a holy war, and these stripling warriors are holy warriors. And they are seen as the ultimate good guys because no matter what happened, they just believed. And therefore, what is it? They fought with such miraculous strength and with such mighty power that not a single one of them died.
Right.
Just a lot of nested mind control mechanisms that are built into that story. And it's important to recognize that the church is teaching these stories to the kids for, the repetition of this story for good reason, because it's training up soldiers. It's training up onward Christian soldiers.
Right. Some of the things that get taught in there is this is from one of the regular lesson plans. It says, the war is on. Satan is real. He attacks, but we have the upper hand. We have the means to defend ourselves. We know how to prepare ourselves, how to avoid the fiery darts of temptation by putting on the armor of Christ. We do this, all of this. In this battle, we have the leader, the Lord Jesus Christ. If we listen to him, then, we'll survive the battle. Our Savior, our leader, knows we can win this war. Everything is a war. The Mormon Church, I don't think, has ever spoke out against any physical wars that have happened in the history of the last 200 years. Are there any times?
I mean,
the part they
Sort of.
took, I guess it depends. The part they took during World War II is they actually, the prophet and several of the generals of the Quorum of the 12 were really anti-Semitic. And so they were actually on sort of the side of the Nazis, but trying not to say it. And so they were against Jews being allowed into the country or Jews being helped out of Germany and that kind of thing. They excommunicated German Mormons for defending Jews, for speaking out against the Nazis and all that. And so, those kind of things, but they generally like the idea of war. So they see that everything with Mormonism as a war. They see themselves as the most persecuted church ever, even more persecuted than Jews. They will say that all the time. Their persecution was worse, which I just laugh my head off, and that kind of thing. And so this chapter is huge. This is a huge deal to Mormons.
Fucking ring that bell, Shannon. Yes, because something that's so important to recognize here is that when you are preaching to populations during wartime, things like this, teaching them that they're holy warriors, can be extremely effective as a battle strategy. It can be extremely effective at improving morale. It can, if your warriors are convinced that they are going to go to a better afterlife if they fight valiantly here, that's fucking Valhalla. Yes, they are going to be more motivated to do those things. However, there's just I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I am also saying what's really important here is what you're saying, Shannon, is that when you are teaching these things to populations during peacetime, they then grasp at everything around them looking for a war. That everything that they see around them, all of wokeism is all Satanism. All of the progressive agenda is all of the adversary. They are looking for anything, any minor conflict that is going on, any ideological differences that are going on, and they want to make a war out of it so that they can be the holy warrior, so that they can personally fulfill their scriptures that they are being taught from a young age. Sleeper cells!
We humans are so easily manipulated.
Right?
It's so sad. So, Peter, how many it came to passes did we have in chapter 56?
15.
That's what I thought. Is that the record?
No, not by a long shot. I think the record...
Wasn't the record like 30-something?
38.
Yeah.
So
38.
far.
Wow.
38 in one chapter?
In one chapter.
Wow.
It's his
I'm not sure.
It's his filler phrase.
I'm not sure. Maybe
Smith's filler phrase,
Maybe Bryce can answer. Someone told me that there is a chapter that has over 100, but I'm not sure. I haven't read the book.
I think there is. I don't know what it is. I mean, we could check it out, find it, or if chat wants to chime in and let us know when the most and it came to pass. I'm not.
It's probably in the Book of Ether.
On my mic here. But yeah, I would love to find a counter to see.
Wait, it's at the bottom of the screen, Bryce.
It
Bryce, it's in front of you at the bottom of the screen.
But I think it'll be in the Book of Ether, which is the second to the last book. And that one is one of the most useless ones. And that is the one where Aaron's going to go and be banging his head on the computer screen over all of that. 10,000 them died, and 10,000 here died, and 10,000 there died, and these 10,000 showed up, and these 10,000. Yeah. It's worse. What you think you've seen is bad enough. It's going to get far worse in the Book of Ether.
And far lazier too.
And
far lazier. Yeah.
And asked in the comments, should we have a behold counter? I'm only one person. I'm running the show. I'm running the chat. I'm running the It Came to Pass counter. I mean, there's only so much I can do.
So
We love you, Peter.
we have another comment by who says, so if a Mormon dies in battle, does that mean he must have a lost faith at the last minute?
Yes.
Probably. Yep. It's probably what he
Yes.
thinks at the very last minute. Yep.
That's exactly
they
right.
think.
And that's what all Mormons will say. Yep.
And then Hearn Weber offers or says, please run, tell Shannon, not every religion is anti-woman. Wicca exists, imperfect, but still.
You are right.
Well, Wicca
Yes.
technically is not a religion. Wicca is a
fair.
conglomeration of Asa True and Hellenism and a whole and I think shamanism, Druidism, all of these are isn't even Taoism and Confucianism all part of, well, maybe not those two. But I mean, as I understood it, because I was with Wicca groups, they were like a conglomeration of different pantheons and mythos.
Okay.
It was
That's
all
fine.
like the
Cool.
indigenous religions.
Usually
And-
when I say that, I say nearly every religion. This time I was getting really super angry. So, and I thank you for bringing it up because it is really truly nearly every religion, nearly every.
Yeah.
It's just that the most influential ones, it's a canyon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I'm not reading the next one.
I can
Shannon?
read it. Yes.
Okay.
Southern Grandma, I see you. Yeah. All right, here we go. Which is
Alma,
good that I
57.
did. Yes, it's good I didn't read the last one because there was a lot I wanted to say on that. And I would have been like halfway through going, okay, my lungs hate me now. Somebody else. Oh my God. Okay. It's been a crazy year, everybody. All right. And now it came to pass that I received an epistle from Amaron, the king, stating that if I would deliver up those prisoners of war whom we had taken, that he would deliver up the city of Antipara unto us. But I sent an epistle unto the king. See, this, by the way, is still that hella long a letter from Helaman to Captain Moroni, by the way. Okay. So he's still, talking. But I sent an epistle unto the king that we were sure our forces were sufficient to take the city of Antipara by our force. And by delivering up the prisoners for that city, we should suppose ourselves unwise. And that we would only deliver up our prisoners on exchange. Duh. That's all anybody does. Good fuck. You had to take 3 first. Okay. This is Joseph Smith. Long-winded. He's more
Well,
long-winded
he's
than
just
Glassbox.
finding this out.
And Amaron refused mine epistle, for he would not exchange prisoners. Therefore, we began to make preparations to go against the city of Antipara.
And this is
But
just copy pasted from like 10 chapters ago that they couldn't come to an agreement about the prisoner exchange. Let's go to war. Jesus Christ.
The letters
Copy
were
paste.
written on really large leaves. Yeah, and they would write with charcoal.
And again, are we in North America or South America? Is there any consensus here?
Nobody fucking knows.
Well,
It's somewhere on this side of the planet.
in the green room,
Yeah.
actually, I shared a link with Peter. I wonder if he doesn't mind pulling that up really quick because there's just, I mean, we've talked about this a few times, but there's tremendous disagreement among Mormons about where the land northward, the land southward, and all of these things exist. So this is about as close as you will ever get to the church publishing an official map of the Book of Mormon. This is from the church's own website. And you can see quirkily, it's not a compass in the top. It is a Leahona.
Leahona.
It's the magic brass ball that Lehi found in front of his tent one night. But yeah, this is as close as we get
to read it. Yeah.
And if you're reading all of this within the context of like all these place name locations and the narrow neck of land, this has led most people to rationally conclude that it's Mesoamerica. This is the Mesoamerican model of the church. This is what the church has even funded research into, trying to find it with Farms and with Thomas Stewart Ferguson, trying to find evidence for the Book of Mormon civilizations in Mesoamerica. This is the kind of maps that they use for this, but because none of that evidence has ever surfaced, of course, even the church itself can't make us a map that it definitively puts the Book of
Yep.
Mormon down on some geography.
Yeah. Well, of
Because-
course, don't forget though. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Sorry, Matt. Close your ears. Later on, when Jesus dies, the whole entire area changes their geography.
That's right.
Valleys become mountains, mountains become valleys, cities are dropped into the ocean gets bigger over here, and it gets lesser over there. Yeah. So
And that's how
who the
all of those
fuck
Nephite
knows?
giants washed
Yeah.
away all the
Yeah.
evidence for him.
Yeah.
Just washed
Fucking
away.
damn it. Right. But the people of Antipara did leave the city and fled to their other cities, which they had possession of, to fortify them. And thus, the city of Antipara fell into our hands. Yeah, without battle, right. It was the most fortified. It was all of that shit. Yeah. And thus ended the 28th year of the reign of the judges. And it came to pass that in the commencement of the 29th year, we received a supply of provisions. Finally, he's looking at the logistics of battle. And also, in addition to our army from the land of Zarahemla and from the land round about, to the number of 6,000 men, beside 60 of the sons of the Ammonites. Remember, they're the anti-Nephi-Lehi's, the Lamanite sons of that are now Nephites, but still have dark skin, and they're the army of Helaman. So,
Stripling
just a
warriors.
reminder, he changed their names. Who had come to join thy brethren, my little band of 2,000. Now, behold, we were strong. Yeah.
Now these 2,000, these are the little kids
Yep.
that have the Jedi kung fu powers.
That's it.
Yes. That not a single one of them died when they were fighting an army of
Yep.
10,000. Yep.
It's kind of like
fighters.
when Aragorn went against all those orcs when he sent Frodo
Uruk-hai.
away.
The Uruk-hai. They were Uruk-hais who could fight in the light.
Yeah, there's
They were
only 60 of
worse.
us orcs against that one guy.
Have you heard Viggo Mortensen talk about when they filmed that scene? He says
No.
he's like, I'm standing there and I'm watching them running at me going, okay.
Yeah, not beating this many dudes.
Okay, I'm salute you with my sword, and let's hope I live through this. Yep. God, it was good.
It reminds me of the when Captain America, broken shield and all, sees Thanos' army, and he's like all alone. He's like, oh, fuck, time to die.
All right, 'cause I could do this all day. I love that.
You're locked in here
Although
with me.
It's kind of dusk now, so
Yep.
I'm done.
It's almost nap time. We are kids.
Yeah,
I
that's
brought my apple
right.
juice.
Hmm. I need
Okay, read on.
my juice box. And it came to pass that in the commencement, I already read that. Sorry. Besides the provision, and it came to pass, that it was our desire to wage a battle with the army, which was
You did
placed
that on
at the
purpose, didn't
city
you?
Of Cumeni.
You did that on
I
purpose.
did. I'm really sorry.
It came to
I'm
pass,
so
it didn't
sorry.
came to pass,
I'm
and then
so
it came to pass.
Now it did come to pass. So that second one negated the other. I don't know. We're somewhere. 18. And now behold, I will show unto you that we soon accomplished our desire. Yeah, with our strong force, or with a part of our strong force, we did surround by night. Now we'll work at night. The city of Cumeni. A little before they were to receive a supply of provisions. Now we're
Ooh.
starting to use smart army tactics.
Yeah.
Somebody said to us, Joseph, you're stupid. Okay.
They're like, why don't we just steal the juice boxes from the army that we're fighting against, and then we can fight at night? We've had a double dose.
What were we thinking?
These are
We
some smart
scared
kids, all
away-
right?
I know. We scared away the people out of Antipara, the most fortified city. I mean, we just scared them all, and they all ran away, and we got it. So now we're going to use proper army tactics.
Which, to be fair, if you're somebody's, standing on the battlements, looking out over the field, and an enemy army runs towards you, and you're like, holy shit, that's an army of 5-year-olds. Whoever is commanding them is a crazy bastard. I'm going to get the hell out of here. And you know what? All right, I see it.
5-year-olds are scary. I read Lord of the Flies. Okay.
Truth.
All right. And it came to pass, for real, that we did camp round about the city for many nights, but we did sleep upon our swords, which makes it really hard to use one if you need it. Good God.
I can't sleep. This is sharp.
I keep falling off of it. Oh my God. And keep guards that the Lamanites could not come upon us by night and slay us, which they attempted many times, because now we're using proper war tactics. But as many times as they attempted this, their blood was spilt. At length, their provisions did arrive, and they were about to enter the city by night. And we, instead of being Lamanites, were Nephites. Therefore, we did take them and their provisions, because we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. That's our reminder to you right now.
It's just such a stupid sentence. And we, instead of being those dark-skinned Lamanites, we're Nephites. So therefore, we just stole all their shit and imprisoned all of them.
Yes, we got all of their cans of beans so that we could come to pass. All right. And notwithstanding the Lamanites being cut off from their support after this manner, they were still determined to maintain the city. Duh, that's what happens in war. Therefore, it became expedient, another word Joseph loves, that we should take those provisions and send them to Judea, and our prisoners to the land of Zarahemla. And it came to pass that not many days had passed away before the Lamanites began to lose all hopes of succor. Therefore, no more candy. Therefore, they yielded up the city unto our hands. See, it's filled with other children. That's what it is. And thus we had accomplished our designs in obtaining the city of Cumeni. So we didn't have to fight for this one either. Yeah. We just ran around rampaging like Lord of the Flies. We had our pig. We had it all. Got it.
Yep. Siege tactics that actually worked, because the last time we saw siege tactics in this book, the people who were in the fort ran out of it to fight the army that was sieging them.
It's like stupid. Okay. But it came to pass that our prisoners were so numerous that, notwithstanding the enormity of our numbers, we were obliged.
The enormity of their numerarity?
Yes, their numerarity. I forgot that word. We were obliged to employ all our force to keep them, or to put them to death. For behold, they would break out in great numbers. Duh. That's what happens when you have somebody imprisoned and their numbers are greater than yours. Yeah. And would fight with stones and with clubs or whatsoever thing they could get into their hands, like the dirt. Yeah. Insomuch that, of course, the Lamanites were all naked, so they can't use any of their clothing, right? Insomuch that we did slay upwards of 2,000 of them after they had surrendered themselves prisoners of war.
Holy shit. That's so many war crimes all in one.
Yep.
Oh, good guys. These are our Nephites. These are our good guys.
Yep. And it's, seen as a good thing. Yeah. It's the Lamanites' fault. If they hadn't fought, then they wouldn't have died. If they hadn't fought, that they were prisoners. If they didn't do a slave uprising, then they wouldn't be dead.
It helped me understand this, because Bryce was telling me that in the last chapter that it was Nephites versus Nephites. Or no, excuse me, that it was Lamanites versus Lamanites.
Yeah. It's former Lamanites versus Lamanites is what it is.
Former Lamanites.
Yeah, that's what the sons of the 2,000 stripling warriors are. They're descendants of Laman, but they decided they believe in God. They're Mormons now.
Right.
So their
so that makes them no longer the son of Laman,
I guess. But now they just haven't gotten the white and the lights part down yet.
Yeah. So these are, remember, these stripling warriors are the descendants of the pacifists, the Lamanites who converted to Christianity and swore an oath of pacifism to God and buried their weapons.
Yes.
Their sons are the 2,000 stripling warriors. So they are
Yeah.
Lamanites. However, they are Lamanites who converted to the right religion.
Yeah. And remember, they converted because of Ammon, the missionary, who taught King Lamoni. And of course, he was such a great teacher that King Lamoni passed out and had 10,000 visions and all that shit. And his wife did too. And the rest of the court did because Ammon was so good at teaching. And of course, Ammon did too because, everybody else is passing out. Why not I? And that he was such the best missionary. He had the best words, the best everything. He was the best missionary. That is the key to this entire fucking story for Mormons because everyone wants to be a missionary like Ammon. They want to be that good.
Yeah, I hire the best people, and they're all on criminal charges now.
Yep.
Oh yeah, well remember how Ammon got the job? How he got the appearance in front of the king?
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Ari?
Yeah. Remember he'd first been sent out to protect the sheep from being stolen, and so he cut off all the arms and everything of the guys that were stealing the sheep.
The Lamanites. The Lamanites were coming in and scattering the sheep, and he's like, "No, you're not. Not with arms, you aren't."
Yep. They were other
that got
Lamanites.
Him the job. And
that
then the king's servants carried in bundles of arms and dropped them at the feet of the king, and he's like, "Who did this? He must be really good."
Yeah, everybody. Now in Mormonism,
which takes me back to Apocalypse Now and Marlon Brando going, "This pile of little arms." the genius to do that.
And it's funny because in Mormons, in seminary with the youth and all that kind of stuff, because of course nobody thinks about the fact that King Lamoni makes Ammon stand there for 2 hours before he finally says what he wants to say to him. But first thing, one of the things he does after he's being taught is he offers him, actually it may have happened before. No, it happened before. He offered him his daughter to wed. Yeah. What Mormons focus on with that is, and Ammon said no. I wonder what she looked like. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. Because really, when he offered his daughter to marry Ammon, that is a legitimate political thing to do. Yeah. And this has happened for centuries between monarchies because Ammon was the son of Moroni, who was the king or chief judge or whatever the fuck it was. Not Moroni. He was the son of whoever the fuck it was. Anyway, but Lamoni knew that. So him offering his daughter, he the king, to the son of another king, gets the political alliance in to keep them from attacking. But Mormons don't want to focus on that. I wasn't here for that part of the lecture. I'm sorry, but you got that for me bringing it back up. So I just had to say that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear the thing about the father offering the daughter, that is no more appropriate than when Sarge says, "I like you. You can come to my house and fuck my sister."
Yeah.
You don't own this. This is not a thing you can offer.
Yep. Yeah. Very typical. Okay. So back on topic. Yeah, I love Mormonism. Yeah.
It's so fun. We're all having fun here.
Yeah, 45 years in this.
And the people that I know who declare themselves Mormon, who do like, I mean, it's not just the people I know. It's like I see like the right-wing political pundits that are about like what the Glenn Beck, right, who talks about the prophecies. Mm-hmm. And I think third Nephi, and he's talking to I know I've mentioned this a number of times before, but the fact that this man is talking to an army of evangelicals about prophecies in the Book of Mormon, and all of these mouth-breathing salivators are just nodding their heads. I mean,
yep. They just
what happened to us as a species?
Yeah. Whew.
How long you got? I won't get back on my soapbox.
Yeah, well, I've seen how your soapbox is. For anybody that doesn't know, Bryce said he could talk for hours and hours on the sordid and horrible history of Mormonism, and I called him to that. I said we should do that, and we did that. and it was a 6-hour long conversation, which
That's
is in
all?
multiple parts on my
That's
in multiple parts on my channel. 6 hours just going over the history, and he said he could do more, but I'm
Yep.
like, yeah, I think 6 hours
Oh, yeah.
is enough.
I was more asking it. He's like, "What's wrong with humanity?" I'm like, "How long you got?" Like, spend a bit of time on that. What's
Yep.
wrong with us? Why the fuck do we
could.
allow
We should
this to happen to us? Why do we do
Right.
this to ourselves?
we
Yeah.
could start a new podcast on that. As a matter of fact, I'm even considering doing that now that you suggested it, because there is
Yeah.
so much wrong with
Yep.
us as a species. It's really bothering me. And it's not just the religious stuff, it's not just the political stuff. Though either of those would warrant us a series of podcasts on its own.
Mhm.
Do please continue, Shannon.
Though there are some comments that you probably should read.
Yes, they are falling behind. So SJL, and I love the way that they spelled that, says, quick search through a PDF, 1351. It came to pass. I guess that's through the entire book, 1,351 occurrences of it came to pass, 1,632 beholds.
Wow. That's I guess I'm surprised that like so much is made about and it came to pass and so much less about behold, but there's more beholds. I'm kind of curious what a chapter by chapter breakdown is, if there's a list anywhere or like a table for it, because I want to know what chapter has the most and it came to passes.
I
Anyways,
just wish
thank you,
that
chat.
I just wish that we could have Joseph Smith listening to how we critique his book.
He wouldn't give a shit. You kidding me? He'd be leading a multinational, multiple $100 billion corporation and wouldn't give a flying fuck what anybody on the internet says about him.
Yep. I mean,
That's how
the
narcissists work.
Q15 now doesn't give a shit. Yeah.
Bruno Zygerts offers $5 Canadian and says, maybe this is the Hyborian age. Is Conan a Nephite?
There we go.
And then the Raven 200 offers $5 and says, it came to pass that I, Raven, did spake unto thee. By a man heat fish he day. Teach fish man a lifetime.
There you go.
That's in the Book of Mormon, right?
That is definitely the Book of Mormon.
Oh, excellent, Raven.
Yeah.
Then the Raven 200 also says for $5. Also, Bryce, what are the best / most accurate sources on Brigham Young? I want to make a DM NPC based off him, like I did with Joseph Smith. Thanks again.
Let me find it. There's John Turner's book. Oh yeah, Brigham Young Pioneer Prophet. That's kind of the standard go-to for Brigham Young's biography. Although it's a little, John Turner is somebody who has worked for the church history department before, so some of it is a fair amount propagandized. So that's important to understand that it's written by a faithful Mormon. The best repository to gain an idea of the type of person that Brigham Young was is the 2-volume set right there. That's the Brigham Young's Letter and Correspondences by George D. Smith. And that's where you see a very unvarnished take of Brigham Young, because it's just a repository of letters that he exchanged, along with introductions and some context of what these letters are and why they're important. Although that's not really much of a read, it's more a repository, so used for reference. So the John Turner Brigham Young Pioneer Prophet is kind of the go-to.
Excellent. All right.
Go ahead.
Therefore, it became expedient for us that we should put an end to their lives, or guard them, sword in hand, down to the land of Zarahemla. And also our provisions were not any more sufficient for our own people, notwithstanding that which we had taken from the Lamanites. In other words, we don't have enough food for our prisoners, and we'd rather just kill him, but it's probably not the best thing for me to say here, but we'll maybe get him to fight so we can. Yeah. And now in these critical circumstances, it became a very serious matter to determine concerning these prisoners of war. Nevertheless, we did resolve to send them down to the land of Zarahemla. Therefore, we selected a part of our men and gave them charge over our prisoners to go down to the land of Zarahemla. Because I already said that, and I like to repeat myself because I'm writing in Reformed Egyptian.
Chiasmus.
All right. Reformed Egyptian is the best. But it came to pass that on the morrow they did return. Now, who the fuck returned? Wait, what? Oh, the prisoner. Okay. And now, behold, we did not inquire of them concerning the prisoners. For behold, the Lamanites were upon us.
I'm
They
sorry.
returned. Yes.
Hold up. It was like, yeah, we weren't sure what to do because we don't have enough food for these prisoners of war.
And
So
there's too
we
many
just
of them
sent
for me to hold up.
yeah, we just sent a detachment of our men to go take them to Zarahemla. And then when they came back, we didn't ask them how things went. We just all
came
kept our
back the
fucking
next
mouths
day.
shut about it because we will never pick up back on the story of what happened with
Nope.
those Lamanites who became prisoners of war. They just
Yeah.
disappear from the storyline from this point forward.
It's kind of like when they would impress somebody into the Navy, and then when they're out in the dark of night, just toss them overboard. Yep.
There you go.
All right. For behold, the Lamanites were upon us, and they returned in season to save us from falling into their hands. For behold, Amaron had sent to their support a new supply of provisions and also a numerous army of men. Of course, because, men grow in 5 months. And it came to pass that those men whom we sent with the prisoners did arrive in season to check them. They came just in the nick of time. They were like whichever ones on horses that came in the Battle of the Bastards. Yeah. As they were about to overpower us. But behold, my little band of 2,060 fought most desperately. Yeah, they were firm before the Lamanites and did administer death unto all those who opposed them. And as the remainder of our army were about to give way before the Lamanites, behold, those 2,060 were firm and undaunted. Because I already said that, but I have to repeat myself so you're paying attention. Yeah, and they did obey and observe to perform every word of command with exactness. Yeah, and even according to their faith, it was done unto them.
There you go.
And I did remember the words which they said unto me that their mothers had taught them. And now behold, it was these my sons and those men who had been selected to convey the prisoners to whom we owe this great victory. So the murderers and my sons, for it was they who did beat the Lamanites. Therefore, they were driven back to the city of Manti. And we retained our city Cumeni, and were not all destroyed by the sword. Nevertheless, we had suffered great loss.
Yeah, none of us died, but we had great losses.
We had great losses. We lost
you know
all
what that
those
means?
prisoners of war. Yeah. You were going to say? Sorry.
No, it's just, I can't help but chuckle at just how bad this fucking book is. Because every time I'm reading stuff like this, and it's just so simplistic, it's so plebeian, I can't help but think of how much ink, how many entire people's lives have been devoted to studying the intricacies and studying this as literature. Entire fields of Mormon studies are devoted to just this book.
Yep.
Why? Why? Because it's so bad.
It's scrupulosity. It's why I read the fucking thing more than 65 times.
There you go.
Because you gotta find a way to make it work so you can prove you were right in believing this was true.
What was
And
that
it's a
word?
collective
She just
exercise.
mentioned
Scrupulosity.
She mentioned scrupulosity, but what was the other word? The numerousness? What was it?
The numerosity.
Numerority.
The numerosity.
Numerority.
No, not osity. Numerority.
Numerority.
Like
Yeah.
a
I have got
sorority.
to find
Yeah.
a way to use that in a sentence at some point soon.
Yes. The numerority. Just another.
Right.
It's yes.
Sorry
Okay.
for the interruption.
That's all right. And it came to pass that after the Lamanites had fled, I immediately gave orders that my men who had been wounded should be taken from among the dead and caused that their wounds should be dressed. Well, that's what you do in war.
Why is that?
Duh.
That's,
Right.
the very first order that any general would give to his
You
soldiers
find the
after a
wounded,
battle. Why was it
triage everything.
necessary to record
God.
that?
Good God. And it came to pass that there were 200 out of my 2,060 who had fainted because of the loss of blood. Nevertheless, according to the goodness of God and to our great astonishment, and also the joy of our whole army, there was not one soul of them that did perish. Yeah, and neither was there one soul among them who had not received many wounds.
Okay, wait. Every single one of these kids received many wounds. These are the 2000s who have the Jedi judo
Mhm.
kung fu power.
2060 now, yes.
Yeah, the 2060. Mhm.
Yeah.
There were
and
200 of them fainted, and the other 1860 or whatever, 1860, all were wounded, lots,
Yep.
God,
but everybody lived.
Many wounds. Many
it
They
stuns
lived.
me that anybody ever believed this. But then I commonly listen to people tell me that they believe shit they know is not true because they just
Mhm.
want to believe it.
Yeah.
I don't know what
That's
to
it.
do with that.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
And now their preservation was astonishing to our whole army. Yeah, that they should be spared while there was 1,000 of our brethren who were slain. And we do justly ascribe it to the miraculous power of God. I need somebody banging out amens here. Because of their exceeding faith in that which they had been taught to believe, that there was a just God, and
Amen.
whosoever did not doubt that they should be preserved by his marvelous power.
Amen. Preach it, sister.
I don't want to yell out amen, but I will yell out a moron.
Well, and Aaron, like you asked how, right there, that's how people believe this.
Yes.
Because once you introduce God magic into the equation of any proposition, everything becomes possible.
Yep.
Everything is possible when your imaginary friend is doing it.
He's a just God. He didn't slaughter babies.
Speaking about things
didn't
that are
drown the entire population of the earth. He's just.
speaking
He
about
doesn't
things
throw
that are
temper tantrums.
possible, Bryce, I put a link in the private chat. I think I found your "It Came to Pass" counter. I just had a glance, but I think this actually counts the "It Came to Passes" versus the verses in the. And I've seen numbers 205 in one chapter and even more in other chapters.
I gotta say, I think the radical evangelicals are extremely misguided in all of their research that they're doing, trying to take Mormons out of Mormonism. But by God, they once in a while produce something that's actually worthwhile, and this is one of those examples.
Yep.
Thank you, radical Christians, for trying to take Mormons out of the church.
I'll put it in the
Thanks for
live chat
sharing
as
that.
well for people who want to check it out.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. Now, this was the faith of these of whom I have spoken. They are young, and their minds are firm, and they do put their trust in God continually. And now it came to pass. Try not to shout right into the mic there. Sorry, everybody. That after we had thus taken care of our wounded men and had buried our dead, and also the dead of the Lamanites, who were many, behold, we did inquire of Gid, not God, but Gid, concerning the prisoners whom they had started to go down to the land of Zarahemla with. Now Gid was the chief captain over the band, who was appointed to guard them down to the land. And now these are the words which Gid said unto me. Behold, we did start to go down to the land of Zarahemla with our prisoners, and it came to pass, because I gotta say that because this is the Book of Mormon, that we did meet the spies of our armies, and they've been sent out to watch the camp of the Lamanites. And they cried unto us, saying, Behold, the armies of the Lamanites are marching towards the city of Cumeni, and behold, they will fall upon them, and yet they will destroy our people. And it came to pass that our prisoners did hear their cries, which caused them to take courage, and they did rise up in rebellion against us.
There we go.
And it came to pass, because of their rebellion, we did cause that our swords should come upon them, because it's the fault of our swords, not the hands wielding them. And it came to pass that they
The
did
middle of
in
steel.
yes, and it came that they did in a body run upon our swords. It's their
What
fault,
stupid warriors.
not ours.
I just held my sword out and he ran himself into. I don't know what happened.
It wasn't my fault. They
He
should have
fell on
seen
my
it.
knife 35 times.
In the which the greater number of them were slain, and the remainder of them broke through and fled from us. And behold, when they had fled, and we could not overtake them, we took our march with speed towards the city of Cumeni. And behold, we did arrive in time that we might assist our brethren in preserving the city, because we're the good guys. Remember that? And behold, we are again delivered out of the hands of our enemies, and blessed is the name of our God. For behold, it is
I thought
He.
your God was Jesus. Now it's
Yeah.
blessed.
Something like that.
Sorry.
All right.
Wonderful Counselor. We'll come up with all the names. There's like 27 of them. Yeah, it is He that has delivered us. Yeah, that has done this great thing for us.
Coincidentally,
Mm.
the Lamanites who escaped from all that little uprising there, they got home and said the exact same fucking thing. Thank God we survived. Those fucking Nephites killed almost all of us, but we survived.
Yep. Now it came to pass that when I, Helaman, had heard these words of Gid, I was filled with exceeding joy because of the goodness of God in preserving us, that we might not all perish. Yeah. And I trust that the souls of them who have been slain have entered into the rest of their God.
Wow. God will sort them out.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think I saw that on a T-shirt. Kill them all, let God sort them out.
Yeah, that's what Joe just said about about those prisoners.
Yep.
Ooh, what a riot those chapters were. Ooh, doggy. Thanks for waiting for Shannon and I to be here for this. That was a barrel of fun.
It had slipped my mind that when you had mentioned to me how important this chapter was to both of you, and so when Jimmy reminded me of that, I genuinely felt bad that I had forgotten that. So I wanted to apologize.
Not a problem. I mean, you
Rectified
still waited.
and resolved. We got this.
Yep.
Wow.
It was great.
All right. So
Yes,
give me a heads up on what to expect from here on. So
well,
this
there's
was
still going to be more
57, we're gonna be doing
battles.
58.
Yeah, there'll be more battles, more of the same kind of thing. And
Next one is
each
an epistle.
time the 2060 still live. They keep living and they keep living. They get damaged, but they keep living because, you know, they're good little boys and they're all doing their thing because they believe in God and followed what their mother said and all that shit until we finally end out the war chapters. Yeah. And so it's just more of the same. Yeah.
But
It
Alma
does
is
seem
almost
to be-
done. We only have what 5 chapters left in Alma?
Let's see.
it's just these are not the end of the war chapters though, right? We've got Helaman
No.
war chapters too.
Yeah, Helaman is still considered part of the war chapters.
Yeah.
So we just finished 57. Alma ends at Alma 63, and then we get into the Book of Helaman, and that's still that's still part of the war chapters. But then pretty soon after that, Helaman's a fairly short book. What's 12 chapters? Is that right, Shan?
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No, 15. Yeah, it's not that long. And then we get into third Nephi, and once
Third
third
Nephi is
Nephi
the
hits, that's pretty much the
key.
end of the war chapters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing
Third
Alma
Nephi.
58 next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. With third Nephi, you're going to get into Jesus visiting
Yeah.
this continent. So that'll be third Nephi chapter 11.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. And when do we get to the submarines?
Ether.
Ether.
So we got
Second to last book.
so we're on Alma. We got Book of Helaman, then Nephi, Book of Ether. No, Book of Mormon, Book of Ether,
Mormon,
then Moroni.
Ether.
So we got
Right.
third
Another
Nephi,
thing,
then fourth Nephi, then Mormon, then Ether.
another thing that I don't know how it is that I don't remember this ever. Every year I don't remember this. It's because there's a poem that tells me that I should remember this every year.
Yes.
Remember the 5th
The
of
5th of
November.
November.
How the fuck do I forget this all the time? Here it is. It's at night now.
Mhm.
It's already after dark. It's not surprising me. All
We're
right.
gonna go blow up Parliament. Mhm. It's time.
We could use it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna happen whether we do it or not. It looks like so disturbing.
Yes.
All right. So Alma 58 next week. Thank you. And
Yes.
sincerely, if I just read this book, I think if anybody were to just pick up a Book of Mormon and try to read it, you would get the same impression as Mark Twain did.
Mhm.
It's just so fucking boring.
Or
It's
form
so
in print.
repetitive. It's
Mhm.
it's so badly written, and you really need to have the expertise of people like yourselves that have the background knowledge of it, that have that lived it, that studied it, that know
Yeah.
the history and the dark
Taught
side.
it. Yeah.
Yes, and so that you can give us some color and
Yeah.
let us know what the fuck we just read.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have overlooked everything that you guys pointed out. I would have completely missed.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons why I like doing this, is for the chance to do that. Otherwise, I would not be on here, because this book has caused trauma to me. And if after 45 years in the church and reading it 65 plus times. And so it is not something I would choose to read again, except to expose the problems in it, to hopefully keep somebody else from being traumatized the way I was. And every time I'm on here, it reminds me of the trauma. And so you get these rage bouts from me because of that. But to me, it is worth it to do this, just to warn people. This is what Mormons teach. They're not just a silly church. They are a very dangerous church. The phrase Mormonism breeds dangerous men is applicable to this day. And this book is part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And somebody in the chat, Hobo Sapiens, what a great name, says, "We love you, Shannon."
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
So see you guys next week. Thank you so
Good
much.
night, everybody.
Take care.